While our final students are being seated, I want to go ahead and welcome you to George Junior High School. And thank you so much for coming to celebrate our 10-year anniversary today with us here in an assembly format. We have several great things planned for speakers and also our musical performances. I'd like to take a few moments and first introduce a few people. My name is Don Hoover. I'm the principal at George. I want to thank the following members of the George family for being here. And if you can, please stand when I call your name. Gary and Robin George. This is the son of Mary Frances George. Carl George, Mr. George's son. Charles George. Mary Catherine and Matt Brown. Kathy and David Evans. And Lyndon and Brandon Sims. Thank you all for being here. You honor us with your presence. To the George family, the generosity of your family to this community, this is a testimony of it. Everything we have here started with the gifts and generosity you provided to our school system. Thank you so much for all you do. Thank you. We have many special guests, and I'd like to recognize them, and I won't be able to do it all by name or I'd forget somebody and embarrass myself. But first I'd like to thank Dr. Rollins for all of his leadership as our superintendent of schools. Again, he put this school together many years ago, and we hope to leave a legacy that he is very proud of. So thank you, Dr. Rollins, for all you do. Mayor Doug Sprouse. Obviously, our mayor is here to help honor this day. His involvement with our school has been very well connected over the years. He has spoken here on about a yearly basis to our students or different organizations. And thank you, Mayor, for your service to our community. Mr. Pete Jenks, our Springdale High School principal. Mr. Jenks is a great friend of mine. There's not a day that goes by that I don't call him for advice and help in how to lead our students to their success. Mr. Jenks, thanks for all you do to serve Springdale High School and our school. Mr. Shea Baldwin will represent our faculty today. Mr. Baldwin has a unique story I'd like for the George family to hear. He's our first homegrown George student who came back and teaches here. So. And last but not least for the panel up here, Mr. Ron Harris. Ron is the president and founder of A Level Up. He is our community partner that serves in leadership training, mentorship, and just great community service opportunities for our kids. Thank you, Mr. Harris. I'd like to recognize in the audience any members of our central office staff. If you could please stand, our central office administrators and superintendents. I think Dr. Brown and Dr. Cleveland are here somewhere. I'd like to recognize any principals and assistant principals from our district that might be here. Any principals or assistant? Yeah, you have to stand. That's right. I'd like to also have stand any former employees who might be here joining us today. I see Coach Snavely. A few of y'all are there. It'll be hard for me to stand since they're doing this, but I'd like for any teachers or staff members from the original staff 10 years ago to either step out to the side a little bit or stand up if you were here the first year. Please remain standing. The last thanks goes to all of our staff and faculty that work so hard every day to make George the place it has become, and our legacy for caring for kids and building their future story starts with the teachers in the classroom. So please, a round of applause for our teachers today. here in a moment we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance, but let me introduce the group that follows our pledge. Our cantate choir, our choir program has been a staple of excellence for our school for 10 years, always receiving superior ratings, winning competitions, all state, lots of great accolades and accomplishments. Today they will sing a piece called Blessings. This piece was played at the inaugural dedication of our school 10 years ago. After Mr. Solis does the pledge, we'll hear from our great cantate choir. At this time, if Mark Solis can join me on the stage to lead us through the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. My name is Mark Solis, and I represent the George Junior High track team. Please stand facing our nation's flag and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jason Noor, and I'm representing the George Junior High Choir Program. Our first group to perform today is the Cantate Women's Chorus. They are under the direction of Kara Sedberry, who has been at George Junior High since its opening, and Robert Fitzgerald. Mrs. Sedberry and Mr. Fitzgerald are both former students of the Springdale High School choral and band programs. Since our school began in 2004, the Cantate and Select Men's Choruses have received superior ratings in the Regional Choral Performance Assessment. The Springdale Public Schools Director of Choral Programs is Mr. Randy Irwin, who is here with us today. Cantate will be performing Blessings by Katie Moran Bart. Please join me in welcoming the George Junior High Cantate Women's Chorus and directors Mrs. Sedberry and Mr. Fitzgerald.
Hello, my name is Tyler Gary, and I'm representing the George Junior High basketball programs. Our first speaker is Coach Shea Baldwin. Coach Baldwin is the first former student of George Junior High and Springdale High School, where he participated on the boys basketball team. Coach Baldwin is the first student of George Junior High to return as a coach and a teacher. Please welcome Coach Shea Baldwin.
Good morning. Thank you to all of our guests that are here with us today. We are glad you are here to celebrate what a wonderful day. When Mr. Hoover asked me to speak today, I was a little hesitant, to be honest. I've never addressed an audience this big before. But when he explained it was for the 10-year school celebration, I knew I could do it. I wanted to speak because this school is a special place to me, and this whole area is actually a special place to me. I was a George Giant, a J.L. Kelly Knight, a Georgia Wrangler, a Springdale High School Bulldog, and an Arkansas Razorback. This area and the wonderful people in this area are the only thing that I know. So as college graduation was approaching and I was starting to look for a job, I was beginning to worry, kind of like now. What if I don't get a job? What if there's not a spot open around here? What am I gonna do? Well, I got word that there was going to be an open position here to coach basketball back home. I thought to myself, how awesome would it be to come back home and teach and coach where I was a student? Well, my prayers were answered, and I couldn't be more blessed and thankful for the opportunity to work here at George and this school district. There's something I want you to think about this morning, kids. Whether you believe it or not, the decisions you are making today are affecting your future without a doubt. Not only does it matter how hard you're working in the classroom, but what are you doing outside of school? Are you developing bad habits? Who are the types of people you're surrounding yourself with? Decisions that you're making when you're 13, 14, and 15 years old, believe it or not, could have an everlasting impact on your life, whether it be positive or negative. I also ask that you apply yourself every day. We are so fortunate to have such a wonderful school building and facility. If you need help with classwork or anything going on with your life, ask one of your teachers. That's our job. We have a tremendous faculty and staff here at George that have dedicated their lives and chosen a career in which to help you in every way possible. I have a lot of great memories here as a student. A lot of my friends today are the ones that I met here at George. I was the king of the sweetheart dance, something I'm afraid Mr. Hoover and a few faculty won't let me forget. This is also where I fell in love with the game of basketball, and I knew I wanted to coach for a living. This is also where I actually really fell in love and met my fiance. We're planning to get married this summer. Thank you. So, this place really means a lot to me, okay? George is such a great place, and I cannot wait to make many more great memories as a teacher and coach. Once again, you're in a great place. You have a wonderful facility, and eager faculty and staff to help you, a great group of administrators to support you in the greatest school district there is. Enjoy your time here and make the most of it. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tatiana Cicevana, and I'm representing the volleyball team. Our next speaker is Mr. Pete Jinks. Mr. Pete Jinks is a graduate of Springdale High School. He was an assistant principal at George Junior High when it opened in 2004. He has now followed in his father's footsteps and is principal at Springdale High School. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Jinks.
What memories? It's been 10 years since we first opened this school, and I don't think it dawned on me that at that particular point it had been over 25 years in the Springdale School District that we had opened a secondary school. We put up a lot of elementary schools and we put up some middle schools, but it was the first time in roughly since Central Junior High had been built that we had built a secondary school, a junior high or high school. And I remember this place right here with all the dust and with a little bit of panic that we were rolling in July and August, and we didn't know we'd get everything done by then. But we did, and we had a tremendous first year. And there's something magical about that first year that I think Dr. Shepard at Lakeside can experience or knows about. Because when you start a new school, you have to fall into that little bit of challenge of trying to stay with the norms that have happened in the past with other secondary schools, but also trying new things out. And there's something magical about hiring a first group of teachers and start looking at challenges that other schools have and say, how can we do this a little bit differently? Or how can we help our students a little bit better? And sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't, but that's all type of the magic, and it's what builds your culture. And if there's one thing I remember most about this school 10 years ago, it was the tremendous teaching staff. We did a good job hiring our teachers. In fact, many of them are still here and many of them are here today to celebrate with us. And it was a great group of individuals, and they still are, and I'm very proud of that. We also had great students. There's a picture floating around of Coach Baldwin, and this blows my mind, Coach Baldwin. All right, it was Shea Baldwin, or Hey Baldwin when I was here. And now he's Coach Baldwin. There's a picture floating around and you in a crown, right? Yeah, and then you were Mr. Wrangler as well? Yes, all right. So, Mr. Wrangler for 2004, that's quite an accomplishment, and I know you're proud of that. But, you know, I look back, and for those of you who don't know me, I had a full head of hair back in 2004. And some of you laugh, but you did too. And as I saw some of y'all coming in today, some of y'all got a little grayer as well. But it was an experience I'd never want to change. And just to wrap things up, I want to give accolades to someone who I think really has done the most for this school, and that's Mr. Hoover. Yeah. I am honored and proud to consider Don Hoover one of my friends, and when he says we call each other today, that's pretty close. In fact, I think we talk more to each other than to our wives sometimes. But when he came on here, he has done a tremendous job of building a culture at this school, building a spirit at this school that can't be replaced. And I don't, you know, you got the award for Outstanding Secondary Administrator for our state, which I thought was well deserved. And at that time, I was honored to write you a letter of recommendation. And with all due respect to Dr. Shepard, I told you you were my favorite principal in junior high that fed me. And that goes the same thing now. And Dr. Shepard, you're getting there. But I want to just say thank you, because all you students out there, I look forward to seeing you as Bulldogs, whether in 2 years or a year from now. And I know you're getting a great education and great preparation to be successful at Springdale High School when we see you then. So thank you and have a great day. Appreciate you.
Hi, my name's Ellie Pollitt, and I'm representing the George Junior High track team, cross-country team. Our next speaker is our principal, Mr. Don Hoover. Mr. Hoover joined the Wrangler family as an assistant principal in 2005. In 2006, he became the second principal in our school history. Mr. Hoover was selected as Secondary Principal of the Year for the state of Arkansas in 2013, a title which he still holds. Please welcome back to the podium, Mr. Hoover.
We need to get a different mic system for Miss Ellie so she don't have to stand on her tiptoes up here at my microphone. But thank you, Ellie, for that wonderful introduction. Students, I'm going to talk to you for a second about our legacies and where we've been. And Mr. Jenks did a very nice job of talking about some of the past. But as I talk to the faculty this year and talking about you and what your future holds, our legacy can only be summed up that we are trying to plant a seed in you that one day can be sowed into something great. Guiding our students to achieve their desired future. That's our mission statement at George. If you walk around our hallways, you'll see it on about every wall we have. It means something to every one of our students, because at 14 and 15, maybe some at 13, maybe a couple at 16, it's all about you and your preparation for your future. If there's any legacy I'd want us to have as a school for the last 10 years, recognized by the community, and for the next 10 years, and celebrated at the 20th anniversary, is that our students succeeded and achieved their desired future. We cannot write for you what's going to happen, but we can sure give you opportunities for success. And with mentorship, experience, advice, leadership, and instruction, I believe you can succeed anything you want to do in this world. You are living in a different world where you're competing with everyone from across the globe. And while we sit in an assembly today with about 600 students and many honored guests, there are millions out there preparing as well. When you build your future story in 8th grade career development, when you're talking to your teachers in advisory, those components mean something more than just the X's and O's of school. It's about preparing yourself for life ahead. I didn't ever necessarily have the greatest vision at 15 for myself. I think we can do a better job as educators every day with our students every day to help guide them to that desired future. That's what being a Wrangler is all about. Taking the proper steps, planning ourselves in the proper way, thinking about what tomorrow brings, and not getting lost in today. Today is difficult. Tomorrow will be better, and the future holds greatness for each one of you. When you leave George at the end of the year, 9th graders or 8th graders, you come back for one more year, and we'll only get 2 short years with you, and it's not enough time. We hope to send you to high school, to Mr. Jinks, prepared, knowing someday I want to do this. And if I'm not sure I want to do something right now, I know I'm taking the proper steps and actions to get there. Talking about what kind of lifestyle we want to lead. How do we learn as a person? Are we lifelong learners? These are all attributes I think we're covering with you every single day. And we can do better with that, of course. But it takes you reaching back in there with us. And I talk to you all the time about doing the little things every day will make the big things happen. You've heard that at least a dozen times this year, if not more. And that's true for even today. Our legacy the last 10 years is a school with great culture, teachers who care about you, that cry the day you leave, that wish you back every time we can see you. But the next 10 years have to hold something more for yourselves, and that is your future story. And bringing that to fruition with your hard work. And we can honor Mary Frances George, we can honor the George family, knowing that we are sending out people in our communities that are prepared to lead and to serve. And students, that is your biggest challenge and charge, is to not sit back and wait for someone else, but to take the leadership role. The things Mr. Harris talks about, he'll probably talk about today. And take that leadership role and move forward in our community to make Springdale the very best place it can be, to be world known, to take a band to Midwest. All these great things have been accomplished, and they're going to be accomplished more. And my challenge to you as we sit here today for just a few minutes is that in 10 years from now, when we have our 20th anniversary, I don't know who will be here. I don't know which students will be here. But I challenge that this next 10 years brings forth a better legacy of service in our community, of leadership in our community, leadership in yourselves. And that would be a great day. We have so much of it right now. We're going to have so much more in the future. We're proud to be Wranglers because of our leadership, our community awareness, and our service, but also meeting the expectations that we put in forth in front of you every day. We can raise the bar a little bit, folks. We should never settle for second best. I am proud of the student body that sits here in front of you today, George family, because they are adopting and assimilating quickly to leadership roles. They are finding ways to overcome adversity in their own lives or their families' lives or here at school. It's a great student body. One thing I'll say about our staff before I turn it over to the next speaker. This staff cares about the individual student more than any staff I have ever seen in my different times in different states as an administrator and a teacher and a coach. They are here early, they are here late. They're doing the extra. Students recognize this. They nominate their teachers for Teachers of the Month. We have Teachers of the Year programs, things like that. But the staff cares about the kids. It is very common on the last day of school for our students to be in tears, hugging their teachers in tears back, knowing that we might not see them very much for a very long time. It is a testimony to the school culture, the care and kindness and compassion, but also the expectations that the teachers hold for their students. This organization would be nowhere without its staff, and I'm very proud of this faculty. We have grown, we have lost some, we have gained some, but one thing stays intact is a great school culture of excellence and caring for kids. As I wrap up, I'm about to hand it over to Mr. Harris. What can we be like the next 10 years? What's our legacy going to be, students? I hope that we can talk even more about that 10 years from now, but hopefully on an everyday basis. You're doing a great job. We are proud of you. Let's carry on the great legacy already established. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Ron Harris. I mentioned him earlier. I'll add one thing from earlier. Mr. Harris works with me on a daily basis. He has an office here in the school to provide mentorship and leadership, and sometimes just a listening ear to our students and staff on how we can do more for our students in the areas of leadership and service. Thank you for the time this morning, and welcome Mr. Ron Harris to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, all the staff and people. As we look that they've matriculated from George to other schools and other school districts, As we begin to talk about service and leadership, it's extremely interesting that this whole school started as a result of generosity. This would have never happened if a family wouldn't have saw the need to give back. As I shared with Mr. Hoover several years ago when I came to start a little basketball camp with 12 kids over close to 10 years ago, about the idea of having school-wide service, national-wide service, regional service. Little did I know that we would be in 40 schools in 6 cities, but our base would be here. Little did I know that the George family seed of generosity would be impacting the world through George Junior High. The question that I challenged myself and Mr. Hoover challenged me, could George Junior High reach the world? First of all, we have an international community within our school. We have students from every major people group on the planet that walk our halls every day. Our school district represents the planet. It's a global society. We have business leaders and people who understand what it means to be involved in the global economic process. Service is the underpinning part and is the groundbreaking of a heart of a child. At George Junior High, we have a slogan: leaders don't follow, they lead. They lead in serving. They lead in having a positive impact in the lives of their peers and other people. They lead in having a life calling. And for us here at George Junior High, it's leading that the goal over the next 10 years is to have every single student that would walk from here that have a vision, that have a mission statement for their life. That process started at Helen Tyson Middle School with Mrs. Buchanan. I want to thank her for believing in this process that catapulted me to this dream of being here today. The next 10 years holds individualized game plans for students. It holds continued global outreach. Today, we have a school that we helped start in Haiti with 3 children. Today, I had a phone call yesterday, they have risen to over 100 preschool kids ages 2.5 to 4 years old. George Junior High has led the way in helping feed and clothe and provide education for these students in Haiti. Last year alone, George Junior High students in hours totaled over 7,000 hours. We had one of the largest Keep America Beautiful assemblies in the history of Keep America Beautiful in the state of Arkansas. Last year alone, the students here touched over 3,000 students in Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri giving Christmas gifts, and this year we'll be providing food. Yes, Mr. Hoover, we can reach the world. What the next 10 years looks like is growing partnerships, as last year, roaming through these halls, providing leadership training, over 15 corporations and businesses that provided leadership training. Last year with our 9th grade class, we provided a strategic focus around global partnerships, integrity, and value from people in our local community. Yes, leaders don't follow, they lead. It's not just about leading and being in front. It's about having a heart and a head to serve and hands to serve as well. To the George family, you started this whole process of your generosity. To the teachers, administrators, you helped carry it forward. And without having leadership, without having fellowship, and without having servanthood, we wouldn't be here today. So thank you, George family. Thank you, Mr. Hoover, for giving me the opportunity. Superintendent, thank you for those many meetings before we even got started. Thank you, Mr. Jinks, for your open ear. Mayor, thank you for always being aware and being connected with what we're doing here at George Junior High. I also want to thank Rick Schaefer for his continued service in providing information from George Junior High to the rest of our community. Then on October 13th, we're going to continue that service opportunity. We have breast cancer awareness here, and we're going to have an opportunity for all of you to come and be a part of the volleyball game. We're going to have a pink out. That's in a process of what we continue to want to provide awareness. We're going to have our career assemblies that we normally have throughout the year, our character speakers. This year we will host, one of the people that will come and share with us is on the officer of SAMS. She'll be sharing with us. And we have an opportunity for you students to get connected while you're here. Shake the hands of those people who will be next generation leaders. You may be connected with some of these business people that will be walking through the halls, that will be in your classrooms, that will be in your assemblies. It's about providing students who can connect with the global workforce, not just in word, but in skill. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Hello, my name is Aisha Davis, and I'm representing the GJHS cheerleaders. Our next group to perform will be the George Junior High Symphonic Band. The band is under the direction of Mike Eccles and Chris Moore. The Symphonic Band has received superior ratings every year at the ASBOA Regional Band Concert Assessment. The director of the bands for Springdale School District is Mr. Russell Robinson, who is here with us this morning. This band will be performing Overture to a New Time, composed by Mr. Charles Brooker, who has joined us for our celebration, along with his wife, Claudette. Please welcome the GJHS Symphonic Band.
Good morning. My name is Trevor Browning, and I'm representing the George Junior High football team. Our next speaker is Dr. Jim Rollins, who is the superintendent of Springdale School District. Dr. Rollins has received a bachelor's degree from Arkansas College in Batesville, Arkansas. He received his master's of education degree from the University of Arkansas in 1975 and his doctorate in educational administration from the U of A in 1985. He has been the superintendent of the Springdale School District since July of 1982. My bad. The list of organizations and committees he serves on is a testimony of his dedication and education of the well-being of students, and not only in Springdale but in the state of Arkansas. It is great pride that I introduce to you our superintendent, Dr. Jim Rollins.
It is such a privilege for me to be here this morning. I am so very proud of the school. Students, I am so very, very proud of each of you. I'm glad to see our choir here in the front and our band here in the front. These great young people represent our school system so extremely well. Please thank them for their contribution here this morning. Would you do that? Gary, 10 years ago seems to have passed pretty quickly. I want to tell you, students, just a little bit about your namesake. She was one of the most beautiful individuals that one could imagine. And I say that because of the heart that she had for this community, for our schools, and for the students of our school system. I have the fondest memories. Perhaps it was at a ball game or a PTA meeting, but she always found time to stop and talk with the young people. She always had the most beautiful smile. She would lighten up any room that she was in. And to see this school named in her honor has been so very special for me during the lifetime of the school. Gary, I know you can remember as I do. About 12 years ago, our school system was just bursting at the seams. We were growing 800, sometimes 1,000 kids or more a year. We knew we had to have a new junior high school. And it was my privilege to visit with the George family and to share the need. But very importantly, as we smiled together, to share the opportunity. And when we concluded our meeting, I knew that the family was considering helping with this important project. A few days later, I'd been in Little Rock and had been meeting with legislators, and it was a very challenging meeting, and I didn't think I'd made much progress, so I was pretty low as I was driving home that day. And the telephone rang, and it was Gary on the phone. And his words were as enlightening, I think, as anything I've ever had happen to me personally. He said, "We want to help." And the George family wanting to help, as has already been stated, was what led to the basis of this great school being constructed and here to serve you today. Carl and Charles, I knew it was really a hard family decision because this particular piece of property was where these kids grew up playing baseball. And I knew it'd be hard for the family to turn that loose, but they did, and they did it graciously, and they've supported this school every step of the way. It just so happens, and those of you who are thoughtful about the moment realize that the school next door is named after Mr. Gene George. And so to have these two schools standing here side by side, really as pillars in this community, is phenomenal. And Gary and Robin and Kathy and David and family, We will forever be grateful for your assistance. Please thank this family one more time. Will you do that? In the 10 years of operation, there's been so many phenomenal things that have taken place. They've taken place because of the great kids that we have, because of the parents who work as partners with us in this process, one of the finest faculties that you could assemble, and enormous leadership. In order to have a great school, you have to have great leaders. Mr. Hoover, his support team, the teachers of this school are absolutely phenomenal. Please thank Don again, if you would do that, and our teachers. From the very beginning, the students at George have set the right example. And I want to tell you, students, you're setting the right example here this morning. I'm so very proud of each of you and what you bring to this school today. And your presence here this morning and your conduct here is exemplary, and I thank you for that. But the Wranglers, the athletic teams, the choirs, the bands, the robotics team, wow. And the list goes on and on and on. In all venues, George students have excelled and left their mark. The social studies students who've been winners at the state and national level with their History Day projects. Our career and technical programs that are recognized now statewide. Our FBLA, who's won state honors. Again, this George Junior High Band is simply phenomenal. I've had the opportunity to travel with this band to see them perform, not just within their local venues, but at state and national events, and they are headline performers. I was with them in Chattanooga a few years ago. I was with them in Biloxi this past summer. And you might say, why would the superintendent travel there? Well, they asked me to. They invited me, and their performance and their modeling and their representation of our school and each of you was so very, very important to me. There is no distance that I would not travel to support the kids of George Junior High because of the great example and the potential and promise that each of you represent. I've so enjoyed the comments of our teachers when they refer to this school as the University of George. I think that is well said because of the way our students and staff represent themselves. Our choir has had similar distinction. They've been recognized at the state and at the national level for the work that they've done. And Ms. Sedbury, we're so proud of you and your leadership. Mr. Eccles, Mr. Moore, thank you all for what you have brought to arts in this school system and the example that you've set for the Springdale School District. But every aspect of this school system has represented itself well. Athletics is getting better and better and better. Our cross-country team grows every year. The track team was the regional champions in 2013. The boys basketball team runners-up in regional competition. Girls basketball team runners-up in regional competition. The cheer and dance teams at the top of the class. Thank you, teams. Thank you, coaches, for the great work that you do. Recognize our student performance. Would you do that? Learning is our purpose, and the George Junior High instructional program has implemented so many new initiatives. They've been recognized multiple times now by the University of Arkansas as one of the state's most distinguished academic performing junior high schools. In terms of new initiatives, the Language Arts Academy that was developed by this team at George is the first family literacy program in the nation serving junior high students. That's something to be proud about. Can we recognize that, please? George Junior High School received an outstanding junior high nomination from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, again symbolizing the great academic work going on at the school. This group of kids and the kids that have come before you, working hand in hand with teachers and parents, have demonstrated a very caring attitude, the very spirit of community that Mary Frances George represented and the family represented. You've helped with so many service learning projects. You've helped bring food to the poor and stock the food pantries in Springdale. You've been a part of the Keep America Beautiful initiative, and you work every year in terms of gift exchange programs to serve the needy kids in our community. This is a great place, and you are making it a great place. And this school is here absolutely for each of you. Let me close this way. During this 10-year history, the students, the parents, the teachers, the administrators of this school have taken care of our students. And it's that reputation that's growing. As a matter of fact, in my view, that's what our school district does best. And George Junior High is setting the example and showing us all how to do that at the highest level. Mr. Hoover, Lori Robinson, this distinguished staff, and all the moms and dads who share their children with us are creating a culture of educational excellence that is unsurpassed. Mary Frances George Junior High is a shining star in the school system. The examples that are being set are examples that every school can look to and learn from. The thing that makes me so proud is the foundation that we've established here, that you've established here because of the way you conduct yourself, is creating a foundation that will allow us to do even greater things in the future. I can hardly wait to see what each of you will accomplish as you move forward in this school system, and then to see the impact of the culture you've established impact hundreds and thousands of kids who will come your way in the future. I'm very proud of each of you. Don, congratulations. Congratulations to George Junior High School. Thank you all.
Hello, my name is Vanessa Martinez, and I am representing the George Junior High School dance team. Our final speaker today is the Honorable Doug Sprouse, Mayor of the City of Springdale. Mayor Sprouse is a 1975 graduate of Springdale High School. In 1999, he began serving on the Springdale School Board. He served as president from the school board from 2005 to 2007. In November 2008, he was elected mayor of Springdale. He serves as vice chairman of the Regional Mobility Authority and is a member of the executive committee of the Arkansas Municipal League. Since becoming mayor, many projects have been completed that improve the quality of life of the residents of Springdale. Please help me welcome to the podium the Honorable Doug Sprouse, Mayor of Springdale.
That was such a nice introduction. Thank you. And thank you for not saying, as Pete said, that I graduated in 1875 from Springdale High School. So I apologize for this voice. I shouldn't apologize, it's not my fault, but I apologize, you have to listen to it. And but I will be pretty brief, and because I don't want to start a coughing jag here and drive everybody out of the room. I tell you, it doesn't seem like 10 years ago that I was privileged enough to sit up here with the George family and many others as we celebrated the opening of this beautiful building. And you know, as I look out at the students, and you know, students, there were 10 years ago there were students sitting right where you are, and now those same people are. Some have started businesses, many are working, many are starting their young families, and it's amazing how fast, what just to me seems like yesterday, how many things happen in that it can happen in 10 years and how things change. I'm not going to waste my breath telling you that life goes fast, because you won't believe it until you're old like me. But I will tell you that that before you know it, you'll be back here celebrating the 20th anniversary of George Junior High, and it's a wonderful thing. I know, I can imagine only imagine the satisfaction of the family as they think about the lives that have been impacted positively over this first 10 years of this junior high's existence, and how our community's been impacted. I could talk a lot about the George family and about what they've done. In fact, if you're not aware of it, not too far from here, right now the city's constructing a large new park, and the family was very instrumental in allowing us to be able to move forward with that project. It's going to be a beautiful park, and it's going to serve this portion, not only this portion of Springdale, but I think much of Northwest Arkansas very well. And I hope you'll take advantage of that as residents of Springdale. I know you will. I think you've got I was just sitting here thinking, though, before I came up, I'm pretty sure this is the only junior high. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say it's the only junior high in Northwest Arkansas that has the Razorback Greenway running through its front yard. So that's pretty cool. And you're going to get a lot of exposure from folks outside of Springdale as they come through here. And what better thing from Springdale's perspective for our visitors to see than this beautiful facility and this beautiful school. Let me just take just a couple of minutes, and I want to thank some people, or some folks on behalf of the city of Springdale, because I could say this honestly pretty much in any school, but I'll tell you, there's something special about George Junior High, and when I sat in here 10 years ago when I looked at this cafeteria, and I'm going to say something I said I wouldn't say, but my first thought, besides just how big and different it was from anything I had been used to, was that I don't think I could take a butter pat and stick it on this ceiling. It's too tall. We used to do that in high school, but the ceilings were just 8 feet. And y'all don't get butter pats anymore, so I wasn't too worried about saying it, because I didn't think anybody'd try it. But the thing that, certainly I want to publicly thank the family for what they've made possible. It's got to be different. An opening celebration's different. It's great, but it's different than being able to come back 10 years later and know what's taken place over that 10 years and the lives that have been changed. I also want to thank the teachers and the faculty and the staff and the school board and everybody that, and Ron, thank you for the work you do. I support you wholeheartedly, and you do tremendous work here, and thank you. It's those things that make the building matter, and I tell you, it matters for Springdale. Springdale we've been riding a wave of some really good news lately, and we're very, very blessed and thankful for some of the changes that have been taking place in Springdale over the past several years. But I'll tell you, none of them are more important or more significant than the education that takes place in our schools and in this school, because that's our future. That's the future of our community. And I want to tell you, I could not be prouder of the great job all of our folks do to help make lives better. And you all are our future leaders. You're our future business leaders and our future. There's maybe a future mayor sitting out there. And if you're thinking about that, talk to me afterward, and I'll give you the pros and cons. But I tell you, it's just an amazing place to live. I couldn't be more blessed than for my family to have grown up and to live in Springdale. And it's because of families like the George family that give back to their community, and certainly a tremendous school district that continues to support education, to support our young people. And the last folks I want to thank are just the people of Springdale, because the people of Springdale, through their giving, through their support, they're the ones that make this possible. I mean, if Springdale didn't value education, we wouldn't have we wouldn't be sitting where we are today. And I want to thank, I'm just thankful to God that He planted me where He did, and I hope you are too. And let's continue to make it better, and I know I'll see some of you in the future continuing to make it better. So apologize for rattling on with a raspy voice, but congratulations on 10 years, and we look forward to the 20th and the 30th and the 40th and beyond, because I know that those things will be happening in the future. And all the lives that are impacted will make a tremendous difference as Springdale continues to get better and better. Thank you.
Thank you to all our guest speakers and to our choir and band for their performances. I had a little bit of a scripted closing for us, but I have to monitor and jest based on something that I want to talk about for just a second. Mary Frances George and her family are very generous people. They've given us so much. They've set the course and a legacy for years to come for our community. And we have a great responsibility to be good stewards of that generosity and be good stewards of that leadership opportunity we've been given. It floors me, the generosity that came today. And off the cuff a little bit, I have to tell you, the George family, thank you. Earlier you gave me a $10,000 check for our school. I did not know that was happening. That means so much to all of us. Can we please thank the George family for their gift today? If we know what a standing ovation is, I think this is a good time for one. Thank you. Y'all can be seated. They didn't, students, I want you to hear this last piece about the family. They didn't give to have applause. I promise you that wasn't their intent. They let me do what I wanted to do at that little moment. They didn't give to get recognition. They didn't give to be honored. They gave because they're servant leaders. They gave because they wanted to help all of us. They didn't want limelight. They didn't want prestige. It's not what they're about. That's the same kind of mantra we should share with each other. And I'll share with our community that when we give, we don't give to be in the limelight or a celebrity. We give because it's the right thing to do, and the service we can provide to others is how we build a community stronger. Your example today, George family, is second to none. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for all coming, to all of our honored guests that are here. It means a lot to me and to our faculty to see a lot of you back on our campus and see many of you visiting our campus today. Thank you to our great student body and all the work you've done so far this year, but also for the great conduct and behavior, as Dr. Rollins mentioned this morning. You definitely meet our expectations. Thank you. Thank you to the faculty and staff. Thank you to the faculty and staff for your work every day for the last 10 years for many of you, and a lot of time for the rest of you. Special thanks needs to go out to Miss Lori Robinson, who put everything together today. Lori, I don't know where you're at. Would you please come here for a second? She hates being on the stage, but too bad. Miss Robinson, most of us know her as Mama Robinson, gives so much to our school, and everything today was organized by her, and I think that deserves another special round of applause for Miss Robinson. Thank you. To our honored guest, the family of George, our former teachers, former administrators who might be here, guest speakers, we have a small reception in our library. We'd like for you to join us if you have time, immediately following the presentation here. And Ms. Robbins will help you get there here in a few minutes. The next 10 years, the legacy we leave will then impact our community and a whole other group of students who will sit here in 10 years. Students, I challenge you again, carry forth that mission. Create your plan, create your future. Work with us. We will help guide you there. We will help get you there in the proper form. Take the teachings and instruction that you learned from George, take it to the Bulldog land, make Springdale High School the best high school in the country. and then bring back to the Springdale community your great efforts and success. Thank you all for a great morning. Let's hope we have another great 10 years, and thank you again. Thank you. We'll have our honored guests here in the library. If I can have my speakers help with the family and the guests to the library, please. We all help guide them. Okay. A few house cleaning things. Now, students, we're going to report back to first hour here in a second.